Hello and welcome to Creative Cousins. If you're new here, we are two cousins and we make art. Today, our main topic is the importance and the impact of AI on art. We'll also talk about our recent creations and we'll end it with a childhood memory. How is it going, Beth?
It's going. Today has been a mostly relaxing day, but I am really excited to talk about the topic. I know it's like a heated topic for a lot of people, so I'm excited to get our
Yes.
thoughts out
I
there.
think definitely is very controversial at this point in time about how much of AI is like acceptable to use in your art.
Yeah, and like what are like what's okay to like what's okay, what's like ethical, what's not ethical, like how to tell like what even is AI and like what's a real image. So I want to like talk about like how to kind of find those things, like find out what's real and what's not. Because as the years go on with AI, it's gonna get better and better. So but I think as it gets better, humans are going to also be better at recognizing what is AI and what's not. It just kind of will be able to recognize it better. I think that's an important thing to talk about, especially on an art podcast. So, yeah.
Yeah, I also think it's really interesting, this discussion, particularly as it pertains to art, is a little bit different from discussions that about AI in other fields, I feel. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, it affects different fields like in many different ways. So, like, obviously, though, people are most upset about the AI use in art specifically.
Exactly.
So, I
That's
think,
what I
yeah.
mean. That's what
But
I mean by that. But it kind of goes to show, because I think both artists and people who aren't artists, but people who even just appreciate art, or like everyone, has like this negative view on AI and art, which kind of says a lot about how our society like views art and like how seriously we take it.
that's true.
I don't know. We obviously take it seriously because people get so offended when they find out that something is like partly fake.
Well, yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's not real anymore to them.
Well, and I think it's fair because art, I think throughout the years has many different, it looks different to many different people and it's very subjective. But it's always been usually how humans express their creativity.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when you take the
It's
human
human
part,
expression.
yeah, exactly. So you take the human part out of
So
it, you're like,
what
what?
is art? Yeah, what is art even if you take the human part out of it? Like if it's not done by a human, is it even art?
Yeah,
Like it's
so
such
many
a
questions.
wild discussion. Yeah,
I
exactly.
know. And so it's
So I'm so
really
glad
tough.
that we're doing this topic.
I know. But before we really get into it, quickly, I know we'll get right back into it. But quickly, I want to just show our recent creations
Oh yes.
just to,
I was very
just
excited to start the AI discussion.
I know, we're very excited. We're very excited. I know.
I know.
So I thought just before we get into talking about what, you know, computers do, all right? What computers do. I don't know. But let's just see what I've been doing recently. It's nothing impressive, okay? But I've been having a
I
little bit
mean,
of
I disagree, but
I've been having a little bit of fun with doing sketches again. If anyone knows me, I like to do portraits. Surprise, surprise. So that's kind of like one of my favorite things to do. And I started doing a just kind of random sketches to kind of just practice like quick, like trying to be quicker and try not to spend too much time and really just get like the emotion or just the facial expression just to get that information on the down, like not have to worry too much with the details. But then what happens, I'm not used to just like simplifying it just to like a sketch. I always, I have to stop myself. So these are a little bit detailed for sketches, but I'm trying not to be that detailed. A work in progress.
easier said than done.
Yeah. So this is the first one that I did just to like, oh, you can be like, I'm going to do the random face. So here's the first one.
I love
That
that.
thank you. That one is probably like a young man with like a curly hair, and just kind of a downward angle. Like you're, it's like a camera angle from like below, so it kind of shows his face from that angle, and there's like a lot of shadows, and it's kind of like a funny facial expression. It's kind of like looking down at the person, like, what are you doing? Kind of a facial expression. I don't know. It's kind of funny.
Why are you taking a picture of me?
Yeah, exactly. And then this one is of this lady just looking to the side. Has long hair. She's just kind of looking like, what's going on over there? Facial expression. And what are you doing over there? As you can tell from my questions, the person's looking away towards a different location. And that's graphite.
Did you work on that one more since you last showed it to me?
Oh, no, I don't think so. But I'm not
Oh,
sure.
okay.
Maybe I
I think
sent
it
you.
just looks I think it just looks clearer on the video than it does when I saw the picture.
Oh, I mean, that's, lighting is
Yeah,
everything.
like I can see more detail.
Yeah, that's fair. Then there's this one of this man looking kind of displeased. I would say displeased is kind of his facial expression. He is a man with longish hair, short hair, but kind of wavy, longish, and has like a thick mustache.
He looked displeased and kind of like judgmental.
Yeah, that's fair. This one is just like a lady, kind of like in a windswept tunnel, being thrown at her, and she looks bewildered.
That one reminds me of like one of the characters from Lord of the Rings, kind of.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah, like
But I
the
also
long
just watched
hair.
all those movies again, so
Oh, that's funny.
that's probably why.
Did you like them?
Oh yes, I love those movies.
Oh, good.
Every few years I try to rewatch them.
I've only watched like them all the way through once. So,
Oh,
but
you definitely got to watch it again. I feel like they can be appreciated in different ways.
well, yeah, I mean, Sean's a big fan of like the whole series, so that makes
Oh, there
sense.
you go. So now that you guys have more time for a bit, right?
Okay, fine. I'll tell him.
You can have a movie night. It's a fun fall movie night. You can like light some pumpkin spice candles and like make some popcorn,
Well, do
get
you watch the
cozy.
extended version or just like the
Oh no, I don't do that. The movies are already 3 hours long each, and there's three of them.
we
Oh,
had
I don't watch the
we
extended
watched the extended version because that's what we
Oh
had to
God.
do.
Okay, so you're gonna have a week-long movie night.
Then
I think difficult angles to artists are what difficult lighting is to photographers.
exactly. Yeah, I've been trying to challenge myself with difficult facial expressions and different angles, and it's been a joy.
Good. Well, but it's gonna make you better. That's awesome.
So there's this lady. She's just looking over her shoulder. It's fine. It's a little wonky, but like I said, I'm doing these trying to be quick, and yeah,
I do not mean to be yawning. It's late here.
random picture of
Ooh, I
hair
love this one.
from the
I love
back
this one.
with a bow of a lady.
Bows are really in right now.
That's probably true. Yeah. Then there's this lady. Ooh, she's really angry. She's like really mad at that person over there. She's really pissed off. She's not really angry, like she's mad, but she's just like disgusted. Actually, I would say disgusted.
Yeah, totally. I see it.
She's just like over that person's shit. That doesn't know how to deal
Yep.
with it. Okay, sorry, I'm almost done.
That was very
And
good.
I did kind of a shorter one. I didn't do as many details. And
She
then,
looks kind of. Can I guess like what the expression is supposed to be? Or
sure, yeah.
she looks like almost like stern. Like she's
Yeah, I
like
guess you could
looking down
say,
at someone, being kind of like like
yeah. Like about to scold a child.
yeah, kinda. Was that?
No, it didn't really seem like that in the original image. I should probably say where the reference images are from. So there was
Oh.
this Instagram account that like posts pictures of people like in public. So it's a little bit.
Oh.
It's just like at fairs and stuff, like county fairs or like different kinds of events, and just like but they're like really high quality pictures of them, and the lighting is usually kind of dramatic, and their facial expressions are really like different, and like nobody's like perfect. Like sometimes I use like model pictures to look at, but that's kind of boring. So
Yeah.
it's kind of fun to look at actual real people. And I do feel a little bit weird that it is like random people, and I hope they get permission to post them. But it is public.
It's
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 a
kind of tricky,
it's a
yeah,
little bit of a
because
gray
it's a
area.
public place. So, I mean, it actually, I think it depends what state you're in. But I know in Massachusetts, I think at least in Massachusetts, it is legal to use pictures without people's permission if they're in a public space. Like you can take as many pictures as you want, like in a Walmart or like any like public place.
Yeah, and like I'm just kind of using them just to get different facial expressions because it's really hard to see all those facial expressions on like models and things like that, and it's just more
Yeah, it
interesting.
is because it's just not when you take people out of context, like there's no like emotion unless there's something happening, which is why like I feel like the arguments around like street photography and like the ethics of street photography, like taking pictures without people's permission, like I personally feel it's a little bit like why are we being so dramatic about it? Because it's like really important to still capture like human day-to-day like interactions without
Yeah,
them being staged. Like how
yeah,
will we ever remember like what anything real was if we don't have like photos of it?
yeah,
So I kind of feel like unless the person is like directly like making it clear they don't want to be photographed, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Because I think it's important to see those like real raw emotions.
yeah. It's definitely,
And
I
like
think,
you can try to recreate them, but it's not easy to do.
yeah, something about getting those like candid photos are more interesting. And yeah, I think it's definitely a gray area because I try to think about myself. I'm like, would I be thrilled about being taken a picture of without me knowing? I don't know. So I get it.
Depends on the situation, like
Yeah.
what you're doing, the context of what you are doing in the
Yeah.
picture, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it really depends, really. But yeah, sorry, I have just one more,
That was kind
and
of a tangent, but
yeah, there's just this one. This lady just looks, like I said before, displeased or kind of confused in this case.
a lot of these are like people caught off guard, like kind
Yeah,
of looking
so
like
that's why it's
they're
always
like
a
pissed
little bit
about something.
awkward. I'm like, I feel kind of
Yeah.
bad.
But I feel like three of them were like people looking displeased.
Well, I think it's like they take these pictures like in direct sunlight, and so the shading is like, it's probably
Yeah.
hot. It's probably the shading is probably
They're like
non-existent.
probably uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Makes sense.
anyway, that's kind of just a quick little tour of my sketchbook that I've done so far, just to practice trying a different drawings of different a variety of people, basically.
I think you
So,
did a really good job capturing the different emotions there.
yeah. So, thank you.
I think that's like the point of the exercise, right?
Yeah, and just trying to make sure I can like draw proportions okay, and just practicing drawing faces in general. And if I just draw faces like standard, you know, blank faces are going to be a lot easier than someone who's like making strange faces and from a different angle. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good stuff.
Anyway, back to AI. I think we should like both share like what our personal use of AI is and like how we personally use whenever we use AI.
I can start. So, one of the ways I use AI most commonly is by removing objects in the photo that are distracting to the subjects. So, in Lightroom, there's a function where you can just circle things and make them go away. And it's not perfect, it doesn't work every time, but a lot of times you can fiddle with it until you get an option that you like. And it is generating something in place of whatever you're removing. Like it's still putting something there that wasn't there, but usually it's some part of the background that isn't essential to the overall message of the image. I know like some photographers don't do that, and some do, and it really just depends on the preference of the photographer. Certain documentary photographers, I'm sure, do not change anything at all of the scene because they want everything from the day to be exactly as it was. Even if your getting ready space was really messy and there was coffee cups everywhere, it would leave it because that's exactly how it looked. And they're very focused on just documenting like it was a piece of history. There are times when I do it and when I don't. I mostly do it when it's like formal portraits, or it's a time where we knew that we should have removed that object from the frame, or somebody should have taken their phone out of their pocket for that picture, because it was supposed to be like a nice posed picture. That's mainly when I do it, versus those moments of like candid pictures. I'm not really doing that, because I don't feel like it does anything for the overall image. It doesn't change the message of the image, and it doesn't really make the image any better because it's a candid photograph.
Right.
And you want to remember exactly like what that looks like. Another way that I may be using AI to edit images is, now that I have a very specific way that I like to edit my images, what is known as like a preset, when you apply certain edits in it, to an image, and then you save those settings that you apply to that image, and you apply them to, you can use that saved setting as like a filter, and you can apply it to other images and adjust it as needed. There is something that I may be doing in the future where what you do is you give your preset to AI, like an AI machine. Like not a machine, but you give it to like a program, and you fill out a questionnaire with the program about like preferences of your editing style. And then based on the images that you submit to AI, it will learn your editing style. Like the more
Interesting.
images like you submit to it, it will learn your editing style. Like you can like run the images through and see what it does. I haven't tried it yet, but I might try it just out of curiosity, because I'll still have full control over what my images are going to look like, because it's not like once the AI is done doing that, you can't change it.
Yeah.
You can go back and you can readjust. Like, but it may actually make the workflow a lot easier, which is going to be better for my clients. It's going to be better for me. I may also not do that. I may also just outsource my editing to a company in the future. And then what they do is they edit it by hand, they send it back to me, and then I look it over, make sure it's like how I like it, and then apply the final touches. But I think those are really the only two ways I would ever use it in editing. When it comes to image culling, the process of removing images that are blurry, people's eyes are closed, that are not usable from the final gallery, that is usually done before image editing, and it can be AI assisted.
Oh.
I've tried AI assisted culling, and I absolutely hated it. It removed a lot of images that I would have liked simply because people's eyes were closed. But the problem with that is like it removed a photo of like my bride hugging her father just because her eyes were closed during the hug. So, because it's his back in the
Right.
picture, and then her arms are around him and her eyes are closed because she's hugging him and closing her eyes.
Right. Yeah.
And it removed that image because her eyes were closed. So I was like, well, clearly this isn't gonna work. I don't know if this is AI or not, but certain programs you can still cull everything yourself, and AI will just tell you to what degree it's blurry and to what degree their eyes are open, and it will kind of filter, like categorize, like we think you might not want these at all, we think these might be usable, and we think these are definitely usable, like categories for you, so you can like kind of know like, all right, these ones are probably no good at all or whatever, but I'll look through. So I don't really think it makes it really any easier.
Just
If I'm
classifies
being
it,
honest.
basically.
Yeah, it just like categorizes it. but I don't really think that would be easier for me. I mean, I haven't tried it yet, but
Right.
anyways, I think that is the end of my spiel. I know I could talk about like what other photographers use AI for, but it's not something I do, so I don't want to go on too long and yeah.
Yeah. I think what you said makes sense, but like, using it as a tool, I think makes a lot of sense. I think what people usually have like the most problems with is when people use it to be like creating something that is based off of like other people's images. Because when you are generating something, even if you give the AI program like the images that you want them to use, they still will probably have to pull from different images. Like you can't really
Different people's
guarantee.
works.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
guarantee that nobody else's artwork was
And
influencing
you can't
this.
guarantee like the percentage of, what person like what if it took 50% of one person's work and like then 10% from someone else and 10% from someone else and 10% from someone else? It's now like 50% like someone else's work, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit more questionable in that sense.
Right.
I mean, you could say that, like, I could make the prompt really specific. You could, like, try to get it to get a really specific prompt that you want, and then maybe that image is a little bit more unique because you're trying to make it a little bit more customized, but and you could always keep adding prompts to it to make it more I don't know, make it
Different.
different.
That's true.
But
Yeah, you
it's
could
just
build on
it's
it.
yeah, you can build on it. It's just be really hard to really say that nobody's other influence was ever used in this. But not saying that, I mean, people are influenced by, I mean, artists before AI were influenced by other artists. Obviously, it's a good thing. But it's so tricky when it's like, you know, you
At
don't
least
really know how
though
much.
when yeah, at least though when artists were influenced by other artists, you could kind of tell either where they got it from or they could at least credit that person.
That's true.
Like
And
I've actually seen an increase in photographers. Well, I've seen it go both ways. I've seen an increase in photographers giving credit and a decrease in photographers giving credit. I don't know. Like what I mean by that is like I've seen more people do like a unique photo shoot and like or a unique real idea and like tag the original creator that they saw it from. Like they'll write like their little caption or whatever, and at the end they'll put idea from and they'll tag like another photographer or a different or like wherever they got the idea from. I think that's great, but then I've also seen people not give credit for stuff they really should have given credit for.
yeah,
So I don't know. It feels like both things are happening.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
I mean, people can always, like, even before AI, right? They, like we said, like, they can take very heavy inspiration to the point where it's like it's almost kind of stealing kind of before AI, but now it's at this point where like it's so easy to do that now, and like it's so easy for but then but you can't really control it either. So if you're trying to generate an image, you don't know where these images are coming from. It's just kind of more it's more
Right.
questionable, and then there's like a whole thing with like if your images, your AI might be using your own images or my own art images. We have no idea. And so,
True. I didn't even think of that. My images could be out there right now,
yeah,
like in
no, for
someone else's.
sure.
Like, that's crazy. I didn't even think about that. Like, I think about it objectively, but not as if it like affects me.
But yeah, it's all over the internet, so they can literally
It
pull
affects
from
everyone.
anything. Yeah. And
That's so interesting. Oh my God. Sorry, I'm just having like an epiphany right now.
I mean, I think about that all the time, but I mean, but
Wow.
yeah, so you can't really, it's hard to control it when it's like you want to put your stuff out there, but then you never know, someone could be just training their AI on your artwork and you don't really know. I mean, it's kind of a risk that you want to take, I guess, because you want to still put your stuff out there. It's just really tricky. And so I personally don't use any AI for my art, but if I ever did would use AI, it would definitely just be for like a tool just to help ease the process. Like you could use it like as sort of an inspiration. Like you can do a prompt, right, that says like show me, I don't know, anything like a tiger playing the piano. Show me a picture of a tiger playing the piano, because you want to do a piece on tigers who are very good at playing pianos, and you want to just visualize that. You could do that research. You kind of not research, but you kind of get that inspiration, and be like, okay, so maybe that's good. Gives me an idea of like how I would do that. I don't know. You could just use it as like just something to look at, just to be like,
Absolutely.
kind
I
of like
have a I
a
have a good
loose reference, sort of.
yeah. I have a good example of this where I saw it being used that way and I was like, "Oh, that's a good way to use it." It was a photographer that I follow. She posted something that was AI generated onto her feed. So when I initially saw it, I was like, "Oh, that is not cool." Like I was like, "That like it looks great on your feed, but like it's not cool because like clients might think like that's real or whatever, or
Yeah.
like they might like not read the caption and not know or whatever, and then like like it might be like someone else's, like partly someone else's work. But then I actually read the caption and she like put a disclaimer in there and she said like this is like the inspiration that I have for like an upcoming like styled shoot. So I'm like, okay, like at least like there's a disclaimer there, like
Yeah.
that it's like. And then she did actually do that styled shoot, and I was like, "Oh, like yeah, like that's really cool." Like I feel like being able to like use it to like better visualize something that you want to create is like
Yeah.
how it's like meant to be used. Not just to like use it to have more like pretty things to put on your feed.
Yeah, it's not like you're putting in that prompt and then just taking that image straight off the bat and then posting it as like you did that. And like, oh,
Yeah.
this is my
Or
really
even
cool
like
painting.
I even think like I feel like nobody, well, not nobody, but like I rarely I it would be rare to see somebody actually try to pass it off as their own work.
Yeah.
But I think like even just like saying like, "Oh, this is inspiration only," and like only doing it like that one time or like every so often is different than like even having a disclaimer in the caption every time you do it, but that's like the only thing you post.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like
Yeah.
it's posted every 5 times. So like maybe when someone clicks on your profile, like they don't take the time to like read through and see that like,
Yeah.
10% and 20% of your work is AI generated. I think that is more misleading than just doing it like one time, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty brave of her to post that, just like as the first image that this is my inspiration, and then like, because most people, I don't know if you know this, Allie, most people don't read the internet, and so
Yeah.
they would just see that and be like,
That's why that was my initial thought. That's why I was like, "Oh, like that's kind of like
yeah,
I don't know if I would do that cuz it's kind of misleading."
no, exactly. So I don't know. At least like start with like what the actual result is first, and then
True.
show the
That would have been
AI, because
that would
like
have been a better way to do it, I think.
yeah, because just showing the AI picture, I mean, she could just be trying to get people like interested, like, oh, what's this? Like, oh, you're doing this now?
Yeah.
So it could be like more
Well,
catchy to look at. I mean, like to click on it and stuff.
yeah. It's also possible she may have wanted to get other photographers interested in participating in the photo shoot,
Oh
and
yeah.
like there's no way to do that unless you have like some kind of vision.
Yeah, I think I definitely think like using it as like to help you visualize something. Because sometimes you have something in your head and like you wanna like see it, but sometimes it's hard to visualize it. And I'm a really visual
Yeah.
person. I have to like see something. Like I need a reference in general, but even before you do references, like I just need to be able to get an idea of like what something looks like. And I think if you're like struggling with trying to figure out how to make that come to be, just seeing something, even if it's AI generated, just to help you figure out how to do it, I think it's like useful. I don't think there's anything really wrong with that because it's not like you're posting it as your own thing. It's not like you're selling that image. You're just using it just to get inspired. So I feel like that's mostly fine. But I know that there are people that think like any any use at all, just even using it for like 10 seconds, how dare you? How dare you use this thing?
Yeah.
I think there's more nuance
I
to
could
that.
I could
So,
actually I can sympathize with that, and I feel like I totally get where they're coming from, and I almost am like fully on their side. I just like there's a part of me that thinks like I don't know, like maybe it is like a little bit more gray, and like I don't want to say like it's bad in every situation,
yeah.
I guess. I don't hold people at fault, I guess, for whatever their opinion is on this. Because I think it's still like really fresh and like
Yeah.
really something we're all like learning how to navigate, I guess. And I think that maybe in like several years from now we're gonna look back and be like, oh yeah, remember when that was like controversial and like now we're all on the same page. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like things are gonna happen that are gonna like help regulate it. I don't know what yet, but that's my hope anyway.
I
Because
hope so.
I would hate to see it make the world harder for artists. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Um,
yeah, I think there's like a right way and wrong way to use it. I think a lot of people, though, like misuse it. And it is
oh yeah,
kind of
I completely
scary.
agree.
Um,
So it is scary. I think it's misused a lot by people who maybe lack confidence or something, and they're kind of, or maybe they do have negative intentions and they want to like deceive people or
yeah, who
like
knows?
I don't know, but I have an interesting question though, and this is actually like kind of from a real life example, so I'm like kind of really interested because I've never brought this up with you before, but this happened actually recently,
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm interested
Ooh,
to
I'm
see what you
excited.
think. Yeah, no, this is actually like it's good that this came up because I'm like, oh, this is actually like kind of what we're talking about. It's a
Okay.
little bit more centered towards just like giving credit and like stealing work in general, like,
Yeah.
but it's still like I still want to know what you think. So, do you think it's better, like if you're hosting like a content day or a styled shoot or something, and you don't have any of your own work that looks like what you're hosting? Like maybe you like have never done anything like this before.
Oh.
Um, do you think it's better to either use AI to generate inspiration for it or use I mean, I feel like I know what the answer is going to be, but I'm going to say it anyway and then tell the story.
Okay.
Or use other photographers' pictures on off of Pinterest and like give credit to them for their image for inspiration.
Okay. I would probably say use the photographer's images to give credit
That's what I thought you were going to say.
because, like, that way, yeah, you give them credit, give them a shout out. I don't think anyone's going to be upset that you used it as long as you give them credit for posting those. And then also, if you're really worried about it, you can message them and ask them if it's okay that you post that with the credit.
True. That
But
is a good point. I feel like
yeah,
photographers are not used to getting asked permission to have their images used, which is wild because that is like so essential and important.
yeah,
Um, but at the same time, I do kind of get it because when you do go on Pinterest and you find these images, a lot of times people screenshot these pictures and repost them on Pinterest without giving credit. Like
yeah,
that is just what
that's,
happens. Like these images get posted around. So when you see an image, sometimes there is no photographer's name attached to it. And I guess like the argument would be like, well, just use a different image then. Like use one that you can find that has credit attached to it, right?
yeah.
This was came up very recently because my friend was planning a content day, and I'm not going to say names or where anybody was because like I just don't want to start any drama. Like
Okay.
but basically like my friend used images from Pinterest that she found for inspiration for a content day. And she got messaged like not even like a couple hours later by a photographer it was one of their images that she used. And keep in mind, like, this person hasn't been like doing photography for very long. So like my friend hasn't been doing photography for very long. So it's like, this is all like a learning curve for all of us.
Yeah.
Like we're not going to be perfect. We're going to make mistakes. Like I wouldn't have known any of this stuff like when I was just starting.
Yeah.
But so the photographer messaged her and was really upset that her image was used. And there was no credit given. And my friend was like, well, there was no credit like when I found the image on Pinterest. So it was like a tricky thing because she was like, oh, I'd appreciate it like if you took it down. Like, and the photographer actually said, like, this is the third time this week that it's happened.
Yikes.
So, I mean, I feel like if I was a photographer and my image got used 3 times in a week to, like, as inspiration from other photographers, maybe this is controversial, but I would say, like, you know what? I don't care because that means I've made it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I guess so.
I feel like if the photographer who's using the images for inspiration at least puts something that says images are not mine, inspo only, I'm like, okay, at least they tried.
But did
Like
they do
maybe
that?
they couldn't. I don't think she did. So I think that was part of the problem. Because I think if you don't put that disclaimer there, that is a problem. And I think she didn't know any better, so like I don't really blame her. Like I think she would from now on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Well,
like I just feel like on Pinterest it is like so hard to like sometimes find everything that you want to, the vibe that you want. And I like personally wouldn't do it. Like that is me saying like I've never done it. Like whenever I use inspo, which I only have one time, like for a reel I like showed like images that I wanted as inspo versus like how my images came out.
yeah.
And in every picture I tagged the photographer that did the original image, and I only used the ones that I could find
Yeah.
that like they had their name attached. So like me personally, would I do it? No. Do I think it's okay? I mean, I think if you really can't find like who it is, you know, like, and you at least post a disclaimer that it's inspo only. But would I do it personally? No, I wouldn't, because I have too high of integrity for it. Like, I don't know. I feel like I just have a hard time, like, because I know that people don't know any better and it's not their fault, because like no one is who is telling them this stuff, you know?
Well, okay. So interesting. That's an interesting story. But the thing is, I think it is easy to find out whose image that is. You just do a reverse image search, right? You just if
Oh,
it's so
that's true. I didn't even
popular,
think of that.
if it's so
Yeah.
popular, just put it in Google and you'll find it.
Oh my gosh. That is such a simple thing, but I also feel like it's something that people just don't think of, because I didn't think of that. And that's why like I've never used anybody's image that I couldn't find had a name to it. I would just move on and look for a different image, but I would never thought to like take the image and reverse search it. So I feel like it's really good that we're like putting this out there, because it's actually like not that hard. I also do feel like I just think personally for me, like I don't like it because I know that those images are wildly different from how mine are gonna look.
Yeah.
And for me, that's why it feels icky. And I totally get like needing to do it. And like I feel like when I was new, I'm like trying to remember when I was really new if I ever, there was one time I did it. I remember now. There was one time I posted like an image on my story, and I posted like not my image, just inspo or whatever. Um and that was like a couple of years ago, like before I really was like heavily into like the industry.
Yeah.
So I think like once I kind of learned and like evolved as a photographer, I was like, yeah, no, like this feels just icky to me. Like I'm not going to do it anymore, because it doesn't look good. It doesn't make you look good. It makes you kind of look like you're striving to be something that you're not.
Yeah.
Um, I just don't like how it's it looks. So for me, it's a no. But
Yeah,
I do understand.
yeah, because I
I do
definitely,
understand when beginners do it because it's
yeah.
hard.
I mean, I hope they don't do it again after that, but it's just because I really do think it's easy to like find the credit because if it is something that is that popular that's been used so many times, you bet it'll probably be easily found. And there are
That is
so
true.
many images out there, and also be careful because Pinterest uses AI images a lot. There are a lot of AI images on Pinterest, so just be careful.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah, I
And
didn't think
then
of that.
I do still think it's much better to use a photographer's image than using AIs because at least you can credit that person.
Shout them out. Yeah.
AI, you can't, it's a mishmash of different things. You can't really credit that. And yeah, so I think, yeah, just put anything when you're like posting anything online, just be super upfront, super honest. If it is something, if you do end up posting anything that's AI, just say that it's AI and like be really upfront. Um, Obviously, it's not great if it's like something that is like, if it's like art you're trying to post and say that it's that it's a painting that you did or a drawing you did and it's AI. Like that's obviously messed up. Like I think I just don't like that when you're using. At least be upfront about it at the very least. So
Yeah.
anyway, be very upfront about it if you're going to use AI, but I think there are better options, basically. So when there's a human, go the human route. I just,
I agree.
when in doubt, go the human way. The
I
human
agree, but
way.
I think it's good that I think it's really good that we had this combo because, like I said, like there are some beginners out there who might not know it's not really acceptable, and
Yeah.
I definitely didn't know when I started, and I kind of learned like the more I saw in the industry and the more I like decided what kind of photographer I wanted to be, I was like, oh yeah, like this isn't for me, and like I think it is. I still see it all the time, and sometimes I see it from people who I think should know better. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, aside from, being the know-it-all who tries to like call people out on it, like there's not really much you
Yeah.
can do.
I know.
Because you might make yourself look like an asshole if you try to correct people on it.
Yeah, I know. But I totally get why the people would be upset if their photos are used because it's just like, especially if it happens all the
Yeah.
time and it's like you worked
I
hard
guess
on
I could
that.
see, well, I totally understand why she's upset. I think it's also just like from me, like from my perspective, I'm like, damn, like right now, like that isn't happening to me.
Oh,
Imagine if that was happening to me. Like that would mean like
it could
that
be.
like my work, well, I guess it could be, but
It could
probably
be
not.
somebody in a
I mean,
different country
let's
using
be
your
real.
photos that you just that not on your Instagram feed that they're not crediting you. They could be using your photos.
That's true.
How would you know?
That's
You're not
true.
credited.
That's true. But like personally, I'm like, what is it affecting me if it's not even in the same country? Like, what is it? What is happening? Like it's not affecting my business. Like I understand more that it's someone who's from, the area because they're probably thinking like, oh, like this could be taking away from my, what I have going on. I guess, it's just me being on that side of being like, damn, like if that was happening to me, I would know like I made it, like but it's happening 3 times in a week by people who are from the area, according to her. So I'm like, okay, if you're that known, like good for
That's a
you,
big
girl.
yikes. But also like
It is a yikes, but it's also like, damn, that means you're really good. Because
I
people are striving to be like you. Honestly, like people end up making themselves look bad with it because, like I said, it just shows like they're striving to be someone they're not. And it makes that person look better
yeah.
ultimately. The person they're trying to imitate looks better.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think I would be. Maybe it's different because, like, if it was like my drawing that like is
Well, I mean,
so specific to
here's the
like
thing. Like,
me.
ask me again once it's happened to me. Once I've found out that it's happened to me. Ask me then because I might be like, yeah, I know, it was awful. Like, I don't like it. Because you can't really know until it happens to you, like how it will make you feel.
What if it
So
was
I
somebody
like
selling your
I can't
images?
fault her for feeling that way. I can't fault her for feeling that way, and I can't like fault my friend. My friend took it down like right away. She was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Like there was no like name attached." And like it ended up being fine. Like everything, they were like amicable about it, like.
Yeah, that's
So
the
it's
right way
just
to
an
handle it.
example of like what could happen. So this could happen to you if you're listening at home. Could happen to you. So stop using other people's images.
Yeah, it's not just AI that's doing it. It's just people in general. They've been stealing your images.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
exactly. Like,
it's just even
but it
easier
is
now.
better. I do think it's better though to use another photographer's picture. I think it's better than using another photographer's picture than AI and then just crediting them. So that's the
Yeah,
second lesson from this. The number
yeah,
one thing is just like don't do it without crediting them, but like and like try not to do it at all. But like if you have to, credit them at least.
yeah. And I think if you use AI for inspiration, just do it for personal reasons. Don't post anything. Don't post any like, this is my
Yeah.
inspiration for AI. I don't know. Just use it on like
Yeah.
just to get yourself inspired. You don't have to like post everything that. And there's like a whole thing of just like, and it gets even worse if you like sell the images or you go to like trying to make money off of other people's stuff. Like that's a whole other thing. Like, before you even get
Yeah.
to, yeah.
That is fucked up. Yeah, that's a whole like other
Yeah, that's
messed up
that's a whole other
topic.
conversation. Yeah.
But yeah, we could maybe do that one in
Yeah.
another episode. We'll have to write that down.
Yeah.
Um,
I know you're kind of
I'm
all
gonna
over the
write it.
place with this like AI topic. I did want to like touch on a couple of like tells, how you can tell that something is AI. Now, it used to be like, oh, if the person in the AI image has like messed up hands, the hands are always like the big tell. But now it's like it's getting better at not messing up the hands. Because hands are very complex. I don't know if you know this. And AI does,
And they're very unique to each person.
yeah, and they can do many different like silly looking poses. And hands are hard. Hands are hard to draw, and it's even hard for AI. But now it's like
That's funny.
AI is getting better at that. You know, it's kind of interesting because when you look at an AI picture, you can kind of tell that like something is off. Even if it's like there's like something about an image sometimes. It's like you look at an image and it's like, I don't know, there's something fishy about this. And I don't know if it's because of just like the blur. Sometimes like there's AI, everything is very smooth. I don't know if you've noticed that. If that image that's like AI, it's like it's super smooth.
Like it's almost like too perfect.
Yeah, and there's like, and then if they do have people in it, it's always very perfect looking people,
Yes,
which
like
is a
it almost
thing.
looks like that if it was a real image, like it would have been like they did dodge and burn on their entire skin,
Yeah,
like on
and
their whole body.
yes, and it's actually true that like AI, it has very high contrast. There tends to be a thing with AI that
Mm,
the darks are very, very dark and the lights are very, very light. They
I didn't
cannot
know that
handle things that are like
in the middle.
not super contrast. Yeah, it's like everything is super contrasted. And but they also can't really do things that are very, very dark or very, very light. It's always like a really strange contrast. I was like watching with Sean yesterday this YouTube channel, Corridor Digital. It's a VFX artist. Like they react to a lot of movies and they talk about how like the visual effects were done. And they did like an episode about AI and they were talking about how the like an AI image, it's they always have these very dark contrasts, like the very dark parts of it and very light parts of it. And I was like, whoa, that's so true. And if you're looking at like deep fakes or like images of people that are like videos that are entirely AI, they're not very good at matching the face to the body. So if you're trying to tell if something's like a deep fake, like oh, Elon Musk did a press conference or some kind of like, or was on stage. They could take that video footage, like the real video footage, and then they could only then they could like use it, like do the, then just change the face and to say whatever they wanted, but it doesn't really match the body. So you can look out for, if the face doesn't really match the body, that's probably a deep fake, because a lot of times they don't really like when you're smiling, like when you're smiling, or when you're frowning, or any kind of facial expression that's like pretty dramatic, your body also kind of does movements to match that.
Like it's like body language.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the body language is usually pretty off. Even if the face looks
Wow.
kind of convincing, look for the way the body is with it, and then also when the head moves and stuff, look at the background behind the head, see if it's like fuzzy
Uh,
or they had to fill it in, like
yeah.
they have to like edit in like those movements so you can check around how the body is moving. They could do that. Yeah. So and what they'll do is they'll like to make a deep fake with AI, they'll like take real footage, and also they'll put their voice in, they'll they'll try to train the AI to like get their voice right too. So they'll put in a lot of like audio of the person talking, and then type in what they want them to say, and then they'll like output it in AI by using their voice that they trained. So they could actually train them to have like voices that sound like that person that they're trying to fake. Anyway, it's pretty wild stuff. And they like were
Very
showing
wild.
videos of like podcasters like promoting things that are not real, but edit them and like use a little bit of that technology, the AI, to like make them look like they're promoting this product and stuff. So
Well,
there's
I
some
hope that doesn't happen to us.
crazy stuff. And so
You know,
be on
we
high alert.
obviously no, that's some really good tips there. I I think that this is like such an important topic for like today's world. I don't know when or if it's gonna get better, but at least for art, we have a long way to go, I think, before we're gonna feel at peace with it.
I think I think personally that the art that's being generated by AI right now, yeah, it is getting, I think, a little bit less janky than it, I mean, it's less janky than it was even a year ago. It's improving. But I really do think that humans are going to get better at recognizing it. We are just good at, like, we're naturally good at recognizing faces and things like that. I think we're going to just in time get better at recognizing
Learn
AI.
how to, if we can learn how to recognize phishing emails, then I think we can learn how to do this.
There are people that have not done that yet. I fear for the older generations that there are,
Yes.
by the way, there are so many Facebook pages that are completely 100% AI, but so many like older people just believe it, and it's so obviously fake.
I know.
So obviously fake.
Um, Shoot, there was something I really wanted to say and it just like flew out of my brain and I'm upset.
I'm sorry, I probably
Um,
distracted you.
no, it's fine. I was thinking about the poor old people.
I mean, there is so much about this topic that literally could go on forever. I want to have a future episode where we just like figure out what is AI, like a picture, and see like which one's AI, and just like try to like figure out which one's which and which one's actually real, and how we know which one's real and which one's not real.
Oh,
That'd be fun.
remember what I was gonna
Oh,
say.
what were you gonna
You
say?
know what would also be fun? Is this a thing? I don't know if this is a thing. I haven't really played around with AI enough to know. Have you ever like fed AI your own images?
No, because I'm always worried that if I do, they're gonna use them somehow.
Okay, but like,
I don't know.
what if I just like think this would be crazy. Like, could you ask AI like combine five of your images?
I'm sure
Like,
you could, but I think they would still have to pull from other places in order to get a clear enough result. Because I don't think five is enough. Like
um,
they would probably have to.
but do you think it's a dumb idea to do it just for ha-has?
I mean, we could do it for fun if you wanted to.
And then we can post it right here. Like right on the video, like overlay it.
Just combine, just so combine it into like one different picture, or combine like just literally do a mishmash in one picture.
Combine it into one different picture. Like tell AI to like use it as inspo for like one picture.
Oh, okay. So yeah, draw something in your style, basically.
Like
Or
yes, yeah, like show me an image in the style of these 5 images.
right, yeah, yeah, yeah. I still think, yeah, you could do that.
Because that could be used as a tool. Because if you were like, I need to know like what my style is, or like I need to like understand like what I like
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about, but yeah, you would still need to. It would still probably pull from other pictures. It wouldn't. It would need way
yeah.
more than five.
But according to you, like that's okay if you're just using it for inspiration, right?
Oh, but yeah, if you're using it for inspiration,
Like for personal inspiration, like it's a tool.
yeah, yeah. If you're using it just for yourself, then yeah, I would probably say so. Yeah.
Like, could we do it though, just to like, just to see? Or do you
Okay.
think it's bad? Because no,
No,
if we post it here, then it's like using other people's work. So maybe we shouldn't. But I'm definitely
that's
doing it later.
yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I know. That's see, it's exactly what I mean. It's exactly what I mean. It's just a
Mhm.
weird gray area,
Tricky.
and nobody knows what to do. Nobody has like a specific. You either well, there are people that know what to do. Some people are just really just full on know nothing, which is fair. But then I'm like, there are like fun things you could do for yourself for fun if you just want to see, if you're just curious what things would look like. But then you got to wonder, okay, well, if I'm giving it my images, does that mean other people are gonna use that images? I'm like, how do I know that those images are gonna be sent? Is what I'm
That is
saying.
true, but for some reason, like, it doesn't really bother me right now. I really want to see it.
And if it
I
doesn't
really
bother
want to
you
see
right
what it
now,
does.
then that's up to you. That's your prerogative. And so that's
I
people's
want to see it.
choices.
I'm too curious. Like, I feel like this is a situation. Like, this is a situation where I'm like, curiosity might kill the cat because, like, I don't really care about that because in the short term it'll be funsies.
And that's just the real and honest opinion of Allie right now in this point in time. And, and that's fair. And that's fair, okay? But honestly, we could go on about AI for literally days. It's such a hot topic. There's so many different things. We will probably have future episodes that will have like more to say on it. I hope it was clear. I feel like we were all over the place in this one, because there's like so many different like
I mean, we
things
talked
about
about so
it.
many
I
things. We
know.
talked about why people use AI, why people think it's not okay to use AI in art. We talked about deepfakes. We talked about using other photographers' images and stealing images and how like AI could constitute like stealing images. And then we talked about using AI as a tool, like so many things.
I
We
hope we
covered a
were
lot.
clear. I hope we were clear.
I think our message is just like to be ethical with it and just do the best you can with the information that you have now and always be open-minded and willing to hear others' perspectives and to be learning more about it. Um,
Yeah, don't be shady. Don't be
that's all you can do.
shady.
Yeah, exactly. Our rule is just don't be shady.
Just try your best. Try your best.
Be upfront.
Yeah.
Don't be shady. Be upfront.
Yeah. Be honest with your feelings about how you're feeling about something in a certain moment. Anyway, quickly, we're going to share our nostalgic corner, quick left heel turn on this conversation.
So our memory. I think we have talked about our home videos before, but we haven't ever told you guys the prep that we did for these home videos. So some of this included like script writing,
Oh yeah,
which
high
was
quality
basically just like
writing.
scribbles on a composition notebook. That's coming back to me right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And then basically digging around in Beth's
My name is
digging around
Bevis.
and digging around in Beth's mom's uh like seamstress materials to find like different scraps of fabric that we can make into like pretty skirts and dresses and like fantastical like crazy designs of
Yeah.
things where we felt like fairy princesses and we would just like tie different pieces of fabric around ourselves. Um and then we would go outside and we would film ourselves just like spinning around and being magical people.
Yeah, we would like be like throwing spells at each other, and then we would like have one of us react to him. So I'd be like, freeze! And then like Allie would freeze. And
Always like a lot of really dramatic spinning and
yeah.
showing off our dresses
Yeah, and yeah,
that we made.
wind would be blowing around. We
I feel like
pretend wind is blowing
we didn't
around.
just use scraps either. Like I feel like we totally used like curtains, like whatever stuff we could find that was like the right color.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I think I was really heavily inspired with Halloween Town because there was like an outfit in Halloween Town where she said scraps of like it looks like different color fabric on, um, and and then it just looked like a
Like
colorful.
a fairy dress.
Yeah, kind of like some kind of like it was like a robe that had like different colors on it, and I think I was like really inspired by that. Okay, and so I yeah just would just randomly attach fabric in random places, like kind of like a toga of some sort when we're like strapping things like and tying them. Or there was no sewing involved.
No, it was really just makeshift, like everything.
Yeah, it was really
It's so
something
much fun. And
something.
also, because we've talked about the Princess Diaries before in the podcast, did you hear they're coming out with a third one?
I did hear about that. I did hear about that. And I don't know how
Yeah,
much detail is actually out about it right now. But it is a pretty exciting development. I hope it's actually good because it'd be a really big bummer if it was not good. And after all this time, that would be sad.
same. But it's so weird how we're just talking about it and now they're making a third
Yeah,
one.
I know.
I saw it. How did you hear about it? Because I saw it on TikTok.
I think I saw it like I I have like a random news feed that like gives me random
Oh,
articles,
okay. The
and
way
that's
I
like
saw it was like so exciting that like I was like, damn, this is the best thing ever. Because it was literally Anne Hathaway on TikTok. And
oh
she was like this. And as she holds up the number one, there's like a clip from the first movie. Then she holds up the number two, there's like a clip from the second movie. And then she holds up three, like this, like all dramatic. Like, I was just like, oh
oh
my God. I
I've
was immediately so excited.
I never saw that one. I just saw like an article about it that she like posted something on Instagram um, about it. That's all I heard. But that's exciting. I hope it's good and we're gonna
I
talk
know. I
about it.
hope it lives up to the hype.
Yeah. There's already
Yeah, we
hype
will.
in it. Literally nothing is like nothing happened yet. It's not been filmed or anything, but people are already like really hyped about it. People have been waiting for this for 20 years.
I am very hype. I can admit that because like I'm not a Disney adult, so I get to have this.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. No, it's a
I think
life
this is
changing
fair.
movie. It was a
We
life
can have this
changing
thing.
series. I read a
I mean,
couple of the books,
it
actually.
isn't like it wasn't like my favorite movie by any means, but I'm like so excited because I just think it's like so wholesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I rewatched that movie so many times too. Now I feel like rewatching it again. So thank you, Allie. Um,
You're welcome.
but anyway, that was a whirlwind of a podcast. Many different things we talked about. I hope we covered everything and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Next time, we'll have some other really interesting topic coming up. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.